Welcome to the Schmitter's 100 Acre Woods. Again, continuing getting everything for the chicken coop ready. Have another delivery of boards that we're going to take over to Pendle Farms. So get over, take everything over, and use his John Deere to get the boards unloaded and stack them in his equipment barn. So they can continue to dry just a little bit, and they'll be in an area where he can get to them if he or whenever they start building. Just putting them on some 4x4s essentially so that you can pick them up later. And here's what we've delivered up to this point. So here, since we have already used all the poplar logs from what was already down, this is some treetops that, or some trees that the tops have been broken out of. So cutting this one down, I'm gonna use it for some poplar logs, cut into either 2x or 1x material, depending on what all we need left. So even with the 046 with the bigger bar, it didn't get all the way through this tree, so it's a fair sized tree and be good for cutting into lumber. Have about the first 3 feet there that we had to cut off because there was some barbed wire embedded in it from the old fence line, and we didn't want that in to go through the sawmill, so we got ahead and just left it behind. Here you can see I obviously have the skid steer again and using it to push over that tree just so it definitely went in that field and didn't go into the woods behind me. And in the storm, a piece of poplar did come down and is kind of behind me. So we go ahead and get it drug out of the woods. I'm not as familiar with the skid steer, just haven't had a application to use one a whole lot. So just trying to be mindful of kind of where the tracks are and where everything is so that I don't catch anything. And just trying to make sure that I don't need to go someplace. Just trying to make sure he didn't need me there before I start driving out, and like I mentioned, have that there so able to get back over to the path we have and kind of get turned around. There's kind of the top of the tree that's there that broke whenever it fell, so just cut that off because it's not going to be worth anything with the split. And here I'm just watching to make sure he doesn't need me to use the machine to pick up if it were going to pinch. And since he's all good, I go ahead and get positioned over here to drag this out. So with the M62, I'm very used to kind of how the controls feel and how fast the machine moves. With this, just trying to take it slow and kind of watch just because I'm not as familiar. But it's pretty easy to get the hang of initially once you kind of get a feel for the controls. The biggest thing is just the visibility. There is a camera for the back, so that's what I have on the screen in the top right, so you can use that. But just trying to be mindful of kind of the tracks there because I'm not as used to that aspect. You can see that poplar log is there on the right hand side, so kind of get positioned so that we can get a choker on that and pull it out. There's not a lot of metal spots in the cab here to stick the camera, so kind of fiddling with that to try to get a little bit of a better view. But he's able to get the choker on and then hook it in the grapple. And while it's a poplar and not very heavy, I was pretty impressed with kind of the pulling ability and the traction of the machine. It's a fairly heavy machine, so there's some weight behind it, but able to just kind of pull it back. You could hear the whine of the motors whenever I was moving, so I went ahead and throttled it up just a little bit, which is kind of a knob control instead of a typical lever on most machines that I'm used to. But kind of once we get around that initial bend, able to just pull this out into the open so we can cut it into kind of 13 to 16 foot chunks depending on kind of what we can get out of it. So that's the one aspect that I'm not really used to on the skid steer is in this. To be able to open the door, you have to have the bucket all the way down to be able to open the door to get out. And as I mentioned in another video, having some issues with the grapple on this, so kind of just using this as forks, but able to use that to load up the trailer again. And able to get all poplar pieces this time, so have some pretty long pieces we were able to get out of this, and then one short piece. It's like a 7-foot piece. Not sure if it's anything that he'll need, but it's a really nice piece of wood that we can utilize. So once we get this one loaded, kind of wanting to come out, and so I pushed it up just a little bit, and we use the ratchet binders there just to kind of hold it, and then getting a chain on it. So I'll let him get a chain on both sides before I let go. The front skid steer letting us use it to load logs and everything. So it's Bobcat, and we've been just using it to load the logs. He's been using it to level off the ground for that new chicken coop, what we've been cutting boards for. So with that, so since he's got it here, we've been using it and just trying to get the logs out. So we picked up another few pieces of poplar. So cut one tree down, another one down from the storm. This one had the top out of it already, so it was going to die either way. But it's helpful having this. That way we don't have to bring another machine over. With it having the hydraulic controls and everything, it's kind of more what I'm used to. This is the second time I've used a skid steer. Just not something we've had. I've ever really had access to, so I haven't really used it a lot. But this one's set up so that on the right hand is all your bucket controls, left hand is drive. And it seems to make the most sense to me, at least for what I've used it so far. But it seems to work really well. We've got a John Deere tractor that's got the shuttle shift, but it's got a clutch and everything, so just trying to load and unload, and the John Deeres don't have a lot of hydraulic capability, I guess. So to like really maneuver the bucket, you have to have it throttled up a lot, because then you have a lot more lurching with the actual machine. So and with it having a clutch and everything, it's just not as easy to maneuver, whereas this, you can kind of put it exactly where you want. You can do small movement with the joystick, so it's a lot easier to control. And then it just, with the hydraulics, it's something I'm a lot more used to. It's just a hand control instead of with your right foot. So that concludes getting logs loaded up for today. So we'll be getting those back to the homestead, getting them milled up, and everything. So here's just pushing those off to get them unloaded from the flat deck. So stay tuned for watching to get those milled up. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.